My name is Vivian Carter, and for 15 years I lived what I thought was a perfect life. No chaos, no scandals. Just love, quiet routines, and a husband I trusted completely. But when Thomas died suddenly, everything I believed unraveled. It started with a key. One he told me never to use. Behind that door was a world I was never meant to see. A second life. A secret family. And the kind of betrayal that doesn't just break your heart, it shatters your identity. This is the story of how I lost everything, and why I don't regret any of it. For most of my adult life, I thought I had something rare, something other people envied, but never quite understood. My name is Vivian Carter, and for 15 years I was married to Thomas, my calm in every storm, the man who made life feel secure without ever needing to raise his voice. Our life together looked like something out of a magazine spread. Clean lines, soft lighting, no drama, no children, by choice. We liked our quiet. Dinner was always at 7 p.m. Sharp. Sunday mornings meant fresh flowers on the table. And Thomas? He wore pressed button-downs like armor and always made sure the mortgage was paid before I even had to ask. He was the kind of man who made you feel safe by simply standing in a room. People used to comment on us. "You two are perfect," they'd say, smiling at our rhythm like it was something rehearsed. And in a way, it was. We had our roles. I was the one who remembered birthdays and folded the laundry just the way he liked. He was the one who handled the taxes, fixed the squeaky door hinges, and brought me tea whenever I had a cold. We didn't fight. We didn't question each other. It wasn't passion. It was comfort. And I mistook that comfort for truth. But here's the thing about a perfect picture. Sometimes the edges are glued too tightly. There were small things I ignored. Like how Thomas never let me into his garage, just smiled and said it was full of grease and dust, not a place for someone like me. Or how he always took calls in the hallway, even when we were alone. I thought that was just who he was. Private, composed, a little mysterious in that elegant, masculine way. I never imagined that mystery was hiding something. Looking back, I wonder if I was too trusting, or maybe just too content. You don't go digging for secrets when life feels steady. You don't ask where someone goes on Thursdays if they always come home with a smile. And I never asked. Not once. I never checked his briefcase. Never questioned his calendar. He earned that trust, and I handed it to him freely. That was our marriage. Clean, easy, unshakable. Or so I believed. Because the truth was, while I was setting the table and waiting for the sound of his key in the door, he was building an entirely separate world. A life stitched together with lies so carefully that I didn't see the frayed edges until it was too late. It's strange. When you think you know someone so deeply, discovering the truth feels like waking up inside someone else's nightmare. And it all began, not with a fight or a letter, but with silence. The kind of silence that settles in the bones. The kind that tells you something is gone for good. Thomas died on a Thursday. The irony didn't hit me until much later. Thursday was his day. The one night a week he always came home a little later than usual. Said it was for work, meetings with clients in the industrial district. I never questioned it. I never had a reason to. Until that Thursday. They said it was a heart attack. Massive myocardial infarction. The doctor said it like he was reading from a script, and maybe he was. His voice was kind, practiced, distant. He went quickly, he added, as if that made it easier. It didn't. Not when the man I loved was here 1 minute and gone the next. The funeral felt like a scene from a movie I didn't remember auditioning for. Black clothes, polite nods, people I barely knew whispering about how wonderful Thomas had been. I stood there, holding a paper cup of water someone had forced into my hand, pretending I wasn't drowning inside. Claire, my best friend since college, never left my side. She didn't speak much, just held my hand and made sure I kept breathing. But it was Rachel, my sister, who broke the spell. She arrived in a cloud of expensive perfume, her hug a second too long, her voice just a little too smooth. "I'm so sorry, sis," she said, brushing a non-existent tear from her cheek. "Thomas was like a brother to me." I wanted to believe her. I really did. But something in her eyes felt off. It wasn't grief. It was calculation. And I didn't understand why. Not yet. Later that evening, as we stood in my kitchen, surrounded by untouched casseroles and floral sympathy cards, Rachel poured herself a drink. Casual, comfortable, too comfortable. Then she said it. "Hey, I know it's not the time, but Thomas loaned me some money. I was hoping to get that settled now that you're taken care of." I blinked. "What money?" She smiled, like I was the one being silly. "Oh, I guess he never told you." That's when it shifted, just a little. Like the air in the room changed. Like the world tilted a degree off center. And for the first time since Thomas died, I felt something crack open inside me. A question, a chill, a doubt. That night I couldn't sleep. I wandered through the house like a ghost, touching furniture like it might speak. I stood in front of our wedding photo, him in that crisp navy suit, me in lace and pearls, and felt like I was staring at strangers. Then I saw it. His keys, still sitting on the hallway table. And one of them was different. The key I was never allowed to touch. The one for his garage. The next morning, I got in my car and drove. The key was cold in my hand, heavier than I remembered. He always kept it on the far side of the ring, tucked behind the others like it didn't matter. I had only asked about it once, years ago. "There's nothing interesting in there," he had said, smiling like he always did. "Just tools, grease. You wouldn't like it." And I believed him. I always did. The garage was in a part of town that didn't match Thomas's polished life. The old industrial district, where buildings leaned with rusted metal roofs, and the sidewalks had long since given up fighting the weeds. I had never been here before, never even thought to ask why he came here every Thursday without fail. The door was heavier than it looked. When I finally turned the key, it groaned like something ancient was being disturbed. For a moment I hesitated. What if this was nothing? What if it really was just tools and grease? But it wasn't. The smell hit me first, not of oil, but of dust, paper, old secrets. Then the light. I flipped the switch, and the room flickered awake in a sickly fluorescent glow. My breath caught in my throat. It wasn't a garage. It was something else entirely. The walls were covered, every inch, with photographs, clippings, hand-drawn maps, and travel documents. It looked like the lair of someone tracking a conspiracy, or worse, someone hiding one. At the center of the room stood a metal desk stacked with files and folders, and above it, the photos, hundreds of them, and in every one, there was Thomas. But not the Thomas I knew. He wasn't in tailored suits or pressed shirts. He looked different, softer, freer. Worn jeans, open collars, messy hair. His eyes weren't narrowed with focus. They were laughing, alive. And in almost every photo, he was standing next to a woman. The same woman. Dark hair, sharp eyes, younger than me by at least 10 years. And too close. Way too close. Her hand rested on his arm. His gaze leaned toward her like she was gravity. Beach photos, ski trips, candlelit dinners. I turned one over, August 2024, just a few months ago. On that day, I was home, cooking his favorite meal, waiting for him to return from a client meeting. In one photo, they weren't alone. A man stood beside them, early 30s, same dark hair, same eyes as Thomas. The three of them looked like a family. I flipped the photo, scribbled faintly on the back, in Thomas's handwriting. Isabel and Logan, August 2024. My knees buckled. I wasn't just looking at a secret affair. I was looking at another life. A whole world he built without me. I stood there, surrounded by the wreckage of someone else's life. My husband's life. Not our shared one. The one with Sunday flowers and salmon dinners. But the life he lived when I wasn't looking. With Isabel. With Logan. With secrets so deep they grew roots. I reached for the desk to steady myself. My fingers grazed the edge of a folder. Thick, disorganized, chaotic. Inside were bank records, letters, tax documents, and one medical report. My eyes caught the header, Crescent Heart Institute. The date was recent, less than 2 months ago. His name was at the top. The diagnosis read like a sentence: ischemic heart disease. Stage 3. Risk of sudden arrest. He knew. Thomas knew he was dying. He knew, and he told no one. Not me, not Claire, not even the man I just learned was his son. Because that's what Logan had to be. There was no denying it now. The resemblance in those photos was unmistakable. The same eyes, the same posture, and the timestamp. August 2024. The very day Thomas kissed my cheek, told me I was the only one for him, and handed me a sapphire necklace. A parting gift, wrapped in lies. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. I kept replaying every quiet moment, every Thursday client meeting, every time he smiled and told me not to worry. And now I realized it wasn't just a mission, it was orchestration. He had curated our life, carefully, flawlessly, while he built another one in the shadows. And then, the shadows stepped into the light. The next morning, I returned to the garage. I don't know why. Maybe I thought I missed something. Maybe I needed proof that this wasn't all a bad dream. But as I opened the heavy door, I heard something that turned my blood cold. Footsteps. Soft. Careful. Like someone didn't want to be heard. I turned fast, heart pounding, and there, standing in the doorway, was the young man from the photo. Logan. He looked at me with a calm that made the moment even more surreal. His voice was low, measured. "Vivian Carter?" he asked. I couldn't speak. I just nodded. "I thought you might come here," he said, stepping inside slowly. "I'm Logan Myers. Thomas Carter was my father." The floor vanished beneath me. I don't know what I said first. Maybe nothing. Maybe I just stared at him, memorizing every detail of his face. The truth was already there, staring back at me. "You're really his son?" I whispered. "Yes, and I'm sorry. I never wanted you to find out like this." I wanted to scream, to collapse. But all I could do was ask the one question that still made sense. "Why are you here?" And that's when he pulled out the letter. Logan reached into his backpack and pulled out a folded document. The paper was yellowed at the edges, like it had been carried around too long, handled too often. He held it out to me. "It's a draft of a will," he said quietly. "Unfinished. Unofficial. My father gave it to me 2 weeks before he died. He said the formal one would go to you. But this was just in case." My hand shook as I opened it. I recognized Thomas's handwriting immediately. Steady, looping, precise. It looked just like the birthday cards he used to write me. And yet, every word on that page felt like a betrayal. It mentioned Logan by name. It referenced a company I'd never heard of, Mercury South Holdings. And then something else, a line that made my heart stop. Access to remaining documents secured in office vault. Code linked to personal item gifted to V. My eyes locked on that one letter. V. Me. The necklace. The sapphire necklace Thomas gave me the night before he died wasn't just a goodbye gift. It was a key. My throat tightened as I whispered, "What is Mercury South Holdings?" "One of his private firms," Logan replied. "Not public, not listed. He used it to move money internationally." He hesitated, then continued. "After my mom died last year, I started digging. I found wire transfers I couldn't trace. Offshore accounts in my name I never opened. He was trying to secure something. For you. For me. For all of us." A storm was rising inside me. Grief, confusion, rage, betrayal. Why? "Because he knew time was running out," Logan said softly. "And because he didn't trust the people he worked with." "What people?" That's when Logan's jaw clenched, and something changed in his eyes. He never gave me names, but he warned me. He said if anything happened to him, someone would come looking, for leverage, for records, for whatever he left behind. I sank into the nearest chair. It wasn't just infidelity. It wasn't just another family. Thomas had been involved in something far bigger, something dangerous. And now, it was in my hands. A vault, a key, a company I've never heard of, I muttered. He left all this behind. For what? To protect me, or to protect himself? Logan didn't answer right away. He just stared at the photos on the wall. His mother, his younger self, a smiling Thomas. I think he wanted to protect everyone, he said. But in doing that, he protected no one. I looked down at the letter again. The vault, the necklace, the company, the lies. I didn't know what I was walking into, but I knew one thing for sure. This wasn't over. Not even close. It started with a phone call. I was back at Claire's house, the sapphire necklace resting on the table between us like it might explode. I hadn't gone home. I couldn't. Every corner of that house felt like a lie wrapped in fresh linens. The call came in just after midnight. Unknown number. Vivian Carter? A voice asked. Male, calm, too calm. Yes, I said, already uneasy. This is Gordon Blake. I was a business associate of your husband's. My stomach dropped. I believe you have something that belongs to me. My grip tightened on the phone. I don't know what you're talking about. There was a pause. Then he said, Yes, you do. The documents from the vault. Some of them concern international transfers, accounts I helped set up. I suggest we meet. No. You will, he said, his voice never rising. Because the other people Thomas worked with? They're not as polite as I am. They don't ask. Then he hung up. I sat frozen, the dial tone buzzing in my ear like static. Claire watched me carefully, her voice low. You're not going anywhere alone, she said. The next morning, Logan arrived with his jaw clenched and eyes dark. He had gotten a call too. Different name, same message. There's more, he said. Another man contacted me, Victor Crane. He claims he's the original source of the funds Thomas moved. He handed me a slip of paper with a name and number scribbled in black ink. He said if we don't return everything by the end of the week, there will be consequences. I didn't need to ask what that meant, so we regrouped. Me, Logan, and Claire. Our strange little alliance formed in the wreckage of Thomas's lies. We had one more lead. The second key, the deposit box at Federal Trust. If there were answers left, they were there. But I couldn't help asking the question that had haunted me since the garage. What if opening that box just makes everything worse? Claire didn't flinch. Then at least you'll know, because not knowing, that's what's killing you. She was right. We made a plan. Go to the bank, open the box, and if we were still in the dark after that, we'd find someone who could tell us the truth. That's when Logan spoke. There's a name my mother mentioned once, he said. Edward Holloway, an old college friend of Dad's. She said he was the only one who ever told Thomas the truth, even when he didn't want to hear it. Do you know where he is? I asked. I think so. Mom kept his address in a file. Savannah. And just like that, the map of Thomas's secrets grew another city. I looked at the necklace, at Logan, at Claire. We open the box, then we find Edward, one secret at a time. I should have gone straight to the bank. I should have ignored every instinct that told me to face her. But I couldn't. Not with the questions clawing at the back of my throat, not after everything Logan had uncovered, and not after what I had found in that garage. So I drove to Rachel's condo. New building, high-end finishes, concierge in the lobby and underground parking. Strange for someone who was always just barely getting by. I buzzed her unit. She answered on the first ring. The door opened and there she was. Barefoot, silk pajamas, wine glass in hand. not a trace of mourning on her face. "Well," she said with a smirk, "if it isn't my grieving sister. Come to inspect the widow's inheritance?" I didn't answer. I brushed past her into the living room, where a framed photograph on the shelf stopped me cold. It was her and Thomas, laughing, toasting champagne, her hand on his arm like it belonged there. The date in the corner made my stomach turn, 5 years ago. "What the hell is this?" I demanded. Rachel sauntered over, completely unfazed. "Company holiday party," she said casually. "You were too tired to come, remember? Thomas insisted I join him." Like it was nothing. Like that wasn't the most intimate photo I'd ever seen of my husband and my sister. "We always got along so well," she added, sipping her wine. "How well exactly?" I asked, my voice low. Her smirk faded, just a fraction. "I know about Isabel," I said. "About Logan, the garage, the fake company, the will." She stared at me. "If there's more," I said, "tell me now." Rachel's eyes narrowed. She walked over to her liquor cart, topped off her glass, and then, just like that, she dropped the bomb. "I'm pregnant," she said, "and it's Thomas's." I didn't speak. I couldn't. 10 weeks, she added. "I found out a week before he died. He knew. He said he'd take care of everything, even told me he was going to leave Isabel soon." I froze. "You were still seeing him? After Isabel died?" She gave a small shrug. "She was never supposed to be permanent. I was the one who stayed." I felt like I was outside of my own body, like the room was tilting. I saw the walls, the furniture, the light bouncing off the glass of her wine, everything except the sister I used to know. "You slept with my husband," I whispered. "Don't act so surprised," she said, eyes flashing. "You had the perfect life, the perfect house, perfect dinners at 7. Meanwhile, I was drowning. Then Thomas started showing up. He listened. He helped." She leaned in closer. "You were his routine. I was his escape." I didn't feel my hand move. Not really. But the slap cracked through the room. Her wine glass shattered on the floor. She didn't cry. She didn't shout. She just smiled. "There she is," she said. "The real Vivian." I didn't go home that night. Not to the house where the teacup still sat untouched, or the sapphire necklace still glinted from its velvet box like it had all the answers. I couldn't face that silence again, not after Rachel. So I went back to Claire's. She opened the door, looked at my face, and didn't ask a single question. Just guided me inside, handed me a cup of tea I wouldn't drink, and sat with me in the dark. I told her everything. About the photo, the baby, Rachel's smug confession. She didn't say "I knew it" or "I told you so." She just said, "I'm so sorry," and held my hand. But I wasn't ready to cry. Not yet. I was too far gone for grief. I needed answers, and I needed control. The next morning, Logan picked me up. Claire insisted on coming too. "You're not opening your dead husband's secret vault without backup," she said, tossing her coat over her arm. Thomas's office was in a downtown high-rise, sleek, cold, and professional, like everything he did. He'd always brushed it off as just a satellite space. I'd never once set foot inside. Logan had the keycard. "I'm listed as co-owner," he said. Of course he was. We stepped into the elevator. 14 floors of rising tension. The office was all glass and steel, minimalist, expensive, soulless. No photos, no warmth, no sign of the life we'd shared. Behind the desk was a large abstract painting. Logan walked straight to it. "The safe's behind this." I reached into my bag and took out the necklace. My fingers found the hidden clasp. I twisted it. Click. A compartment popped open. Inside, a thin metal plate with tiny engraved numbers. Logan slid it into the keypad. Beep. The safe unlocked. Inside, a flash drive, stacks of documents, A sleek silver key with a tag, Federal Trust, and a small wooden box. I opened the box first. A ring. Gold. Simple. Not mine. Inside an engraving. N, always. Not V. Not me. Isabel. Claire gasped. Logan looked away. I didn't say anything. Couldn't. I just froze. Then Logan handed me a letter, folded neatly. My name on the front in Thomas's handwriting. I opened it. If you made it this far, you know this wasn't just a story about betrayal. It was about power, truth, and survival. What would you have done in Vivian's place? Would you walk away or fight back? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every one. And if this kind of deep emotional storytelling keeps you hooked, make sure to subscribe. There's more to uncover, and trust me, this isn't the last secret we're going to reveal. Hit the bell so you don't miss what happens next.